dive into the kaleidoscopic world of the B-52's as we discover the musical mystery woven by the memorable duo, Kate Pierson and Cindy Wilson. Discover the chemistry that makes Kate and Cindy a unique force in the world of music. Are you ready to dance this mess around with Kate Pierson and Cindy Wilson? Hit play, and let's groove through the rhythmic journey that is the B-52's. The B-52's are a unique and influential band that emerged from the American South, blazing their own trail with a combination of kitsch culture and old-fashioned party music. They were the first major new wave band from the South, and their distinct sound, which combined surf rock, post-punk, and acid-fueled girl group harmonies, helped to shape the alternative rock scene of the future. The band became known for its eclectic and unconventional style, with Fred Schneider's sing-shout poetry, Cindy Wilson and Kate Pierson's girl group harmonies, Ricky Wilson's tricky guitar riffs, and Keith Strickland's art-funky drums. Even demographically, the band were nothing like the new world of new wave, with 40% of the B-52's being female, 60% Southern, 80% queer, and 100% fun. The B-52's are part of a unique lineage that traces back to the histrionic outre performance style made famous by Screamin' Jay Hawkins and fellow Georgian Little Richard. Their sound and style would not only make them famous, but also pave the way for other bands like Rem and Deer Hunter. The B-52's exemplify the ability to turn one's weaknesses into charms and embrace and subvert traditions to create revolutionary art. The B-52's story began in the mid-1970s, when childhood friends Keith Strickland and Ricky Wilson, along with Ricky's younger sister Cindy, met Athens transplants Fred Schneider and Kate Pierson. One night, they decided to form a band for fun after sharing drinks at a Chinese restaurant. The band played their first show at a friend's house party in 1977. Kate Pierson recalls, "Cindy and I wore these white fun fur wigs for that first show. They were pocketbooks covered in white fun fur. I bought one and I took it with me to see Cindy, who was working at a luncheonette. She said, 'Get me one!' So I went and got her an identical one. We just teased them up and put them on our heads like wigs. We wore all black and then had these purse wigs on our heads. It was just to create a sort of mask and a sense of fun, a way to not be afraid on stage. So much of our look in the band was inspired that way, by picking up whatever you could find laying around and just wearing it." Soon after, the band recorded their debut single, Rock Lobster, a punk-influenced surf dance track. The single gained moderate success, leading to gigs at clubs in New York City during the late 1970s. In 1979, they signed a record contract and flew to the Bahamas to record their self-titled debut at Compass Point Studios. The album was a commercial success, with the re-recorded Rock Lobster single helping it go platinum within a year of its release. On January 26, 1980, the B-52's made their debut on Saturday Night Live, marking their very first appearance on television. The band chose to perform two songs from their first album, Dance This Mess Around and Rock Lobster. A memorable moment occurred during the performance of Rock Lobster, when both Fred and Cindy fell down and played dead, adding a touch of theatrics to their act. Kate Pierson wore a giant cone-shaped wig. Kate recalls, "We confused people. There was a rumor when our first record came out that Cindy and I were drag queens and that we all actually were from England. A lot of people didn't get it. I think the major reason was because we had a sense of humor. I mean, the Ramones had a sense of humor, and so did the Talking Heads, but ours was pretty overt. We were fun and danceable." The B-52's attracted a diverse fan base, including notable figures like William S. Burroughs, Frank Zappa, and John Lennon. Lennon even credited the band's song Rock Lobster for inspiring him to produce his final album, Double Fantasy, with Yoko Ono. Pierson and Wilson emulated the lavishness and absurdity nature of filmmaker Federico Fellini's creations during the 1960s. Taking inspiration from films such as Juliet of the Spirits, they recreated the fantastical elements they witnessed in their own unique way. Pierson explains, "There were big hats and giant sunglasses, this incredible fashion taken to an absurd degree." Fellini was the epitome of Italian style taken to the max. We were also very influenced by Vogue in the 1960s under Diana Vreeland, she continued. And I used to imitate the makeup of the 60s models with crisscrossed eyeliner and white on the inside. The B-52's are known for their unique and unconventional style, which they referred to as thrift store chic. This style was inspired by their excursions to local thrift shops, where they would find cheap and often retro clothes to wear. The band's namesake was also inspired by a Southern slang term for a 1960s high-rise hairdo, which the two female singers often sported while performing at concerts. The thrift store chic look of the B-52's emphasized the band's DIY, do-it-yourself aesthetic, which set them apart from their contemporaries. For Pierson and Wilson, this was an opportunity to experiment with different textures, patterns, and shapes. Wigs were the starting point of the band's style, and the clothes followed the gaudiness of their hair. They became a hair band before the term was popular. And let's talk about girls' voices. Cindy is one of the most unique voices in pop history. One album highlight, Dance This Mess Around, showcases her uninhibited and expressive voice as she reaches for every emotion she can find. Her articulation and range, from her lower to higher register, crackles with emotion, making it more than just a novelty, but a true expression of power. While Kate Pierson may not provide the same level of emotional bloodletting as Cindy, her vocals are much more versatile. She can change the timbre of her voice with shocking ease, showcasing her powerful soprano range with a 4-octave span. She can sing clearly and crisply or harshly and hoarsely and can harmonize with Cindy seamlessly throughout their albums. Her voice seems to never tire, making their performances an endless source of enjoyment. Sometimes Kate and Cindy screech, bellow, meow, bark, trill, and let out blood-curdling screams, and that's great. Following their debut album, both their subsequent records, Wild Planet and Whammy, achieved gold status. However, neither of these albums reached the same level of popularity as their first. Unfortunately, their fourth album, recorded after the tragic death of Ricky Wilson, failed to chart. Nevertheless, in 1989, they made a triumphant comeback after a break with their fifth album, Cosmic Thing. This album, propelled by the immensely popular singles Love Shack and Rome, achieved quadruple platinum status. Despite their successful and diverse career, no album could quite match the magnetic charm of their debut, which still holds its own even today. The band then took a lengthy hiatus, finally releasing their first album in nearly 16 years, Funplex, in 2008. The wait was certainly worth it. 4 out of the 5 original members of the band identify as LGBTQ, Ricky, Schneider, and Strickland as gay men, and Pierson, who was in a relationship with a man until the early 2000s, is now married to a woman. Kate says, "We look different, our songs are different, so people identified us from the beginning as different." Cindy recalls getting so much fan mail and then later emails and Facebook messages telling us how much we helped people when they were in a conservative place, or a place where they could not be themselves, that we showed them it was all right to be different. The B-52's were not only a source of inspiration for the LGBTQ+ community, but they also provided a unique model for what a band could be. Over the course of time, the band's music underwent a gradual transformation in terms of tone and ambiance. The initial spiky and garage-friendly minimalism showcased in the B-52's and Wild Planet gradually evolved into a more overtly pop sound evident in Whammy and Mesopotamia. These later albums embraced the use of synthesizers and drum machines that were popular in the 80s. However, what truly set the band apart was their unique live arrangement, featuring 3 vocalists who skillfully blended harmonies with energetic call and response lyrics. This distinctive approach remained unparalleled in the realm of rock music,